guys, so in this video, as you already know, we will discuss about everything that you need to know regarding the USMLE. So we will discuss all the steps involved in getting ECFMG certified, your step 1, step 2, step 3 exams and all the finances. So stay tuned for that, and when I say everything, I mean everything. Let's get started. So firstly, when we talk about USMLE, everyone first needs to know what USMLE is. USMLE, which is the United States Medical Licensing Examination. So with USMLE, you get the license to train and eventually practice in the United States. But this is not it. You actually get the license to practice in multiple other countries as well. And some of these countries are New Zealand, Ireland, UAE, Qatar, and now UK as well. So you see, if you give this examination, you are not just able to practice in one country, but it also gives you an advantage to practice in multiple other countries. So if you are someone who really needs to travel, move to different places, or doesn't know where to settle, this would be a good choice. So let's move on to the next topic. A very common question that a lot of people ask me is whether to pursue USMLE or PLAB. Whether to pursue USMLE or do residency in my own country. Am I taking risk to pursue USMLE? Is USMLE for me? And to be honest, the answer lies within you. The answer is individualized. But to help you out, I will give you a list of questions that you can answer for yourself to understand yourself better, that which of these paths will eventually help you in the long run. So the number one question that you need to answer is, where do you want to train? Number 2, which opportunities are you looking forward to? Number 3, what are the challenges that are ahead of you in each path? Number 4, where do you want to settle in the long run? Number 5, which career path do you look forward to? Answer these 5 questions and relate the pros and cons, and you will understand which among these is better for you. Since we are talking about the USMLE exams, we also know that ECFMG certification is an integral part of it. But before we move on to the steps to get ECFMG certified, first let us talk about the exams. So the USMLE exams is a combination of USMLE Step 1, USMLE Step 2 CK, USMLE Step 2 CS, which is now cancelled, and instead of that there is OET, and then finally USMLE Step 3. So one by one we will move on to each of these and explain you in detail about every step. So let us first talk about the USMLE Step 1 exam. As you all might already know, the USMLE Step 1 exam is soon going to convert into pass and fail. So if you are interested in knowing more about it, make sure that you watch this video to know more about the pass-fail system and the pros and cons of it. So let us talk about the Step 1 exam. When can you give the Step 1 exam? So Step 1 exam basically involves the basic sciences. What do I mean by basic sciences? It includes anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, pharmacology, microbiology, pathology. So these are the big subjects that are involved in Step 1. So to be eligible to give your Step 1 exam, your medical school must have covered all these subjects in your curriculum, which mostly is the first 2 years of your medical school. So if you are done with the first 2 years of medical school, you are eligible to appear for the USMLE Step 1 exam. So basically the earliest that you can give your Step 1 exam is after completing your second year. So what does the USMLE Step 1 exam looks like in real life? In real life, the USMLE Step 1 exam is 8 hours long. You heard it right, it is 8 hours long. So basically there are 7 blocks of questions in this exam. Each block holds 40 questions each, and for each block you get 60 minutes. So one block is equals to 1 hour, so 7 blocks is equals to 7 hours. Now you have 1 more hour left with you. So 45 minutes is given to you for breaks. These breaks you can divide in between each block. So for example, you are done with the first block, you can take a 10-minute break, which will be deducted from your 45 minutes of break. So now you will be left with 35 minutes of break. So if you are someone appearing for this exam and thinking, what should be my strategy to take breaks during the exam, In my opinion, you should take break after every block. 60 questions take a lot of time and energy, so you need a little bit of recharge and rejuvenation inside you to appear for the next block and get your stress rid from that previous block in which you might have missed questions or might have confused somewhere. So it's always good to take small breaks after every block, and if you feel tired, definitely you can take longer breaks. Now, how do you prepare for the USMLE Step 1 exam? To know about the resources which are really very important to prepare for the USMLE Step 1 exam, we will link down the video for you. So go and watch that video to know what are the resources that you should use to prepare for the USMLE Step 1 exam. Right now, I will talk about the two most important things that according to me are essential to appear for the USMLE Step 1 exam. Number one, which you can already guess, is UWorld. UWorld is very important, very essential, but another important thing is to use UWorld efficiently, which a lot of people might not know how to do. So practice more, train yourself more, take help, practice with the help of questions, discuss with your friends, and in that way you can actually utilize UWorld really well. If you are interested in knowing more, then please go to my Instagram page and DM me to get a session with me so that I can explain you how you can utilize UWorld at its optimum. The number two resource, which is another essential resource for USMLE Step 1, is Anki. So people have mixed opinions about Anki. Some people really like it and some don't. According to me, Anki plays a very, very, very big role in your growth. So if you are starting today with 200 and if you consistently use Anki very effectively, your score can hype up to plus 30, plus 40 points. And this is unbelievable at this point, but trust me, I have done it. I can guarantee you Anki can do wonders for you. If you still don't like Anki, you can create your own flashcards or you can use any other app or software which can help you with the flashcards. Okay, so the other apps, the alternatives, but I still love Anki. Okay, so I have a bias towards Anki. We can't do anything about it. So the other apps are, one is Quizlet, another one that you can use is Notion. On Notion, you have to create your own template to convert it into a flashcard format. So that could be a little difficult for people. And another one which you can do is your traditional handmade flashcards. The only problem with the traditional handmade flashcards is that although they are very personalized because you have made it yourself, you know everything, how you have put it down, the only disadvantage is that this will not automatically repeat. So you have to manually make sure that you are repeating these cards every single time after a gap of 7 days, 21 days, which according to me is very tedious and not really humanly possible. So I would recommend everyone to use any digital form of flashcard application whenever you are preparing for USMLE Step 1 exam. This will be game changing for you, trust me on that. Now let us deal with the other most important question, which is, how should I prepare for the USMLE exam alongside my medical school? So if you are someone in your medical school and you are thinking that you need to pursue USMLE, but I understand that your medical school curriculum must be really tough to tackle on its own, let alone preparing for the USMLE exam, which is another big monster for you. So in that case, what I do with my students is overlap. Overlap is the keyword here, and I teach it really well how to overlap things so that it does not consume a lot of your time. So what do I mean by overlapping? So for example, you are in your first year and you are studying anatomy for your first year semesters. This is a very good time to brush up your concepts related to USMLE as well. So you are in detail studying anatomy for your exams. Now, wouldn't it be wise to solve some UWorld questions at the same time from anatomy? Or maybe watch some BNB videos for anatomy at the same time? This will save you a lot of time, and because you are doing two things at the same time, it will reinforce it into your memory so that you will learn it better. So always make sure that whenever you are studying any subject in your medical school, whether it is first year or second year, if you know that you will be preparing for USMLE eventually, it is always a good idea to prepare the same subject at the same time for both the exams. I hope that makes sense to you. Other thing, If you are someone who has already graduated and now you feel that, oh my god, this is too late for me to prepare for this exam, I'm already a graduate and I'm already getting late. No, you're not. Okay, so think of it this way. You are a graduate. So you have already completed all 4 years of your medical school. So you already have enough knowledge. That knowledge is somewhere there in your subconscious. So don't underestimate that. Now, even though you are starting in your final year or maybe in your internship or maybe after completing your graduation, that memory will help you foster the learning process. Okay, so now you will learn faster than what a first year student can, because that is completely fresh for the first year student. So take it as an advantage. Okay, so start. First thing that any graduate or final year student or an intern should do before preparing for the USMLE exam is to take a self-assessment. So take a self-assessment. Either you can take NBME or UWorld self-assessment, which will help you know where you stand. So for example, you give the self-assessment and you come to know that, okay, my step 1 score is 220 and maybe you need at least a 240. So now your preparation starts from 220 and you have to just cross 240. That will not be that hard for you. But for example, you score a 200 and now your target score is 240, then you need to know that you need to work much harder to reach to 240 from 200. Okay, so this way you will get an idea how much work is required. So always give a self-assessment before. If you are a graduate or in your final year, for that case, you have to appear for the self-assessment and then start your preparation. Now, if you ask me that what is the ideal timeline to give the USMLE Step 1 exam, or how much time do I need to prepare to appear for the USMLE Step 1 exam, there is no right answer for that. Some people just take 3 months, some people take 6 months, some people take 9 months, and some people just take a dedicated of 4 weeks and appear for the exam. So it depends on how much time you have, how much time consuming your medical school curriculum is, at what stage of your journey you are, what kind of responsibilities you have. So based on that, it will vary for each person. Okay. So don't worry about the timeline. Don't compare yourself with others that, okay, this person has already given and I'm already a graduate and I still didn't appear for the exam and what will happen to me? You don't have to worry about that. And since step 1 is soon going to be pass and fail, so now you are actually getting rid of that burden that you have to score really well into the exam. But to highlight, my recommendation would be that if you are close to giving the exam, make sure you give the exam before it gets converted to pass and fail, if that is possible for you. Obviously, don't compromise with your scores. Keep in mind you are scoring well in your self-assessment before you appear for the exam. But if your score is decent, definitely go ahead and take the exam before it converts to pass and fail. And keep in mind the bookings will be crowded this time because everyone wants to appear for the exam before pass fail. So even if you are considering that, make sure you are booking your spot right now. Next up, we will talk about the USMLE Step 2 CK, which is the Clinical Knowledge Exam. So Step 2 CK is similar to USMLE Step 1. Only now, instead of basic sciences, your clinical knowledge will be tested. Apart from that, everything holds the same. So if you want to know about the resources that you can use to prepare for the USMLE Step 2 CK exam, make sure you are watching the video link down below to know about the essential resources. Coming to the exam, the real-time exam. This exam is even longer than the Step 1 exam. So this is a 9 hours long exam. The blocks are 8 instead of 7. So you remember in Step 1 you have 7 blocks. Now Step 2 CK you have 8 blocks. That means each block of 60 minutes, so that means the whole exam is 8 hours long, and combine it with the 45 minutes of breaks, so it overall comes down to 9 hours long exam. Now since we have talked about both USMLE Step 1 and Step 2 CK, which are the most essential exam, I have some tips for you when you go for the exam. Make sure that you are taking some food or drinks with you, because in between you might feel a little bit dehydrated, you might want to eat something, so make sure you have this stuff with you. By the end, which is the last block, you will be tired, dead tired. So make sure by the end you are taking longer breaks, stretching your body really well, because sitting for that long, you might experience a stiffness in your joints, back pain, all that will happen. No matter how much you try to avoid it, how much you train your body, that will appear to happen in the exam. So make sure you are prepared for that as well, mentally and physically you need to be really in a sound and balanced state to appear for this long exam. Now let us talk about the very famous Step 2 CS. Step 2 CS is the clinical skills exam which was cancelled due to COVID-19 pandemic. So now we do not have Step 2 CS anymore. But what do we have instead of Step 2 CS is the OET exam. OET stands for Occupational English Test. Okay, so what happens in the OET exam? OET exam has 4 parts, which is reading, writing, listening and speaking. Okay, now the beauty of OET is that it is not just a normal English exam, it is specifically designed for medical professionals. Okay, so when you are going for the reading part, you will get articles or research papers which you have to read through and answer the questions. For listening, you might get a doctor-patient conversation and you have to listen and answer the questions through that. For writing, you might have to write referral letters. And finally, for speaking, you have to do a role play of a doctor and speak to a patient. Based on all these, you will be graded and you have to get a B grade in each exam. A minimum of a B grade in each of these, which is reading, writing, listening and speaking, to be eligible for the ECFMG certification. So make sure whenever you are preparing for the OET exam, you have to score at least a B grade in all to be eligible. Now, what are the resources of OET? I have a detailed blog written about the OET exam and the low budget resources, which are basically everything free. So you don't have to spend money in preparing for the OET exam. So I will link down below that blog. Go read it, and there is a link to all the resources there as well. So you can utilize those resources and prepare for the OET exam and you will be good to go. Now finally we come to the Step 3 exam, which is the final exam in the USMLE. But before we start and talk about USMLE Step 3, I want everyone to know that USMLE Step 3 exam is not essential to give before you apply for residency. So basically you can apply for residency even though you are not done with your Step 3 exam. If you are done with your Step 3 exam, that's good enough. But even if you are not done, that's not a deal breaker for you. You can still appear for the exam. Now what is the USMLE Step 3 exam? USMLE Step 3 exam is even bigger than Step 1 and Step 2 CK. Basically, it is a combination of Step 1 and Step 2 CK together. So this is a 2-day long exam. On the first day, you will sit for the exam and you will have MCQ questions similar to Step 1 and Step 2 CK. On the second day, you will have those MCQ questions, but along with that, you have CCS cases. CCS cases are computer-based case simulations for you. You will get a total of around 13 CCS cases, each being 10 minutes or 20 minutes long. You have to go through all the cases. The patient cases will be simulated to you and you have to proceed the patient management step by step to complete all the cases. So the second day holds that. So the first and the second day, there can be a gap between the two. So you can schedule them with a gap. For example, the first day of your Step 3 is on Monday and the second day could be on Friday. So that really depends on you, how you want it. If you want to take back to back, again, completely your choice. Generally, people tend to take a break. In fact, some people take a break of 4 days and prepare for the CCS cases all during that time. Now, as I said that it is not necessary for you to appear for the Step 3 before you apply for residency. So if you get matched, then when will you give the exam if you already are a resident? So different programs have different criteria for it. Some programs want you to complete the Step 3 in the first year. Some program want you to complete at least by the end of the second year. So that will vary. But of course, the advantages of giving Step 3 before applying for the match is definitely there. So if you have a chance, you might want to consider appearing for the Step 3 exam before you apply, because now you are a complete package. So who will not want you, right? But again, if you are not done, even then it is fine, because programs, I think, generally want you to have a pass. The score doesn't really matter when it comes to Step 3, but definitely having a good score will bring stars to your CV. So prepare well for each and every exam. Whichever exam you are appearing for, think that this has some potential to increase your CV in a good way. Okay, so now let us begin talking about the steps which will get you ECFMG registration and eventually getting to the ECFMG certification. So how do we start? The number one thing that you have to do before you even start preparing for the step 1 exam, yes, you heard it right, before even preparing for the step 1 exam, what you need to do is to first go on the World Directory of Medical Colleges and check whether your medical college is listed there. Only then you will be eligible to appear for the exam. So in case if you are someone whose medical college is not listed in the World Directory of Medical Colleges, then the first thing that you need to do is follow through the whole procedure so that your medical school can be listed there. Only after that you are eligible to go through the process of ECFMG certification. So now let us talk about beginning the steps to get yourself registered. Before you even start the process of getting yourself registered with ECFMG, the number one thing that you have to do is to get the USMLE ID. This is a very simple process. You have to go to the website, fill in your basic biographic details, and you will receive an email. On that email, you will receive an 8-digit number which will be your USMLE ID. Now this ID will now help you to get yourself registered with ECFMG. When you go through the process of ECFMG registration, you will be asked to fill Form 183, which you need to get verified from your medical college. Definitely there is a charge to that, which we will discuss when we will talk about the finances. But once your Form 183 is verified, after that you can book a date for your Step 1 exam. So basically it is that simple. There is a whole process for you to get ECFMG certified, but first you need to get yourself registered, and for registration you need Form 183. So once Form 183 is done, you are registered and now you are eligible to appear for the exam soon after you're done with your second year of medical school. So what is there in the ECFMG certification? The ECFMG certification requires you to first complete your USMLE Step 1, your USMLE Step 2 CK. Now instead of CS, you have to complete OET. So there are 3 exams which you have to give, which is Step 1, Step 2 CK and OET. And apart from that, there are 6 pathways set up by ECFMG. You have to fulfill any one of those 6 pathways. After all this is done, your credentials will be verified with your medical college. There is a whole process to that. It can be done through mail or electronically. Electronic definitely is faster. So if your medical college has the electronic system of verification, your process will be much faster than the normal mail delivery system. Through this process, if you are done with everything, you are good to go and you will be ECFMG certified. So now let us talk about the finances, the money part. So keep your eyes on the screen because we will list down everything on the screen for you to take note of it. Okay. So as we talked in the certification part, the first step is Form 183. For Form 183, you will be charged $150. After that, you get yourself registered for USMLE Step 1 exam, which is $975. And if you are taking the exam outside of the US, there will be additional $180. After Step 1, the next exam that you will take will be the USMLE Step 2 CK exam, which is another $970. Additionally to that $970, there will be another $200 if you are taking the exam outside of the United States. Okay, so since we are done with both exam, the other thing that you need to consider that if you extend the eligibility period of your exam or you shift the date of your exam, then there will definitely be additional charges to that, which we are not including in this framework, but consider in mind that the total amount might vary based on that. The other exam that you have to take is OET, which will be $484. After that, 3 of your main exams are done, so you will now next move on to the pathway of getting yourself ECFMG certified. For that, you have to submit a fee of $900 for opening up the ECFMG certification pathway. Then there will be the medical college verification fee, which is your credentials getting verified from your medical school. Now this will vary based on your medical college. How much does your medical college charge on that? So this will vary from medical school to medical school, so that will not be included here. Next up, you apply for the process of match. We will be talking in detail about the match process, but let us first talk about the finances involved in that. To apply for the match, first thing that you need to do is to get an ERAS token. The fee for the ERAS token is $150. The fee for USMLE transcript, which is your scores, which will then be submitted to the programs, is $80. And applying to around 150 programs, the fees will be $3,600. And next up, getting the NRMP registration, the fee will be $150. So this is the whole structure. But what we forgot in between is you will be preparing for the exam, so you will need resources to prepare for the exam. You will also go out to take US clinical experience. There will be travel expenses involved, living expenses involved. So now we are going to include all of that. For the step 1 exam, UWorld subscription for around 6 months will cost you around $420. The first aid book will cost you around $55. And the NBME self-assessment exam is $60 for each NBME, and there is roughly a total of 6 NBMEs. I took all the 6 NBMEs and I recommend everyone to take all the 6 NBME, especially when you are giving your step 1 exam. So we will include charges for all the 6 NBMEs here. Now moving on, after step 1, you move on to the resources for step 2 CK. Similar to step 1, step 2 CK, the UWorld subscription for 6 months will be roughly around $420. The first aid book will be roughly around $55, and the NBME subscription would be $60 for each NBME. And for step 2 CK, the NBME will be roughly around $3 for you. So this will decrease down the price in comparison to the resources for step 1. But keep in mind that these are just the basic resources. You might be using other resources which will add up the charges towards this overall structure. Now let us talk about the most heavy part, which is the US clinical experience. US clinical experience basically means that you are traveling from your country to the United States to take US clinical experience. For taking the US clinical experience, the number one thing that you need is to apply, and the application fee will be roughly around $100 to apply to each university or each hospital wherever you are doing. So now this $100 will vary based on how many places you are applying to. We will just consider about one place, so $100 for one university or one hospital. Other will be your elective charges. So elective charges can vary from around $1,000 to $15 and can go up to $3,000. So we will take a rough average of around $1,500. So to travel, you will need a visa. The visa charges will be roughly $160. Your travel expenses would be around $1,500. Cost of living would be around $400 per month, and for your accommodation you will require an additional $800 every month. Other than that, there will be insurance required by the universities or hospitals where you will do your rotations, which will add up additional charges to this structure. So with that, we will come up to a rough average of a total of $1,300 to $1,400 USD, which in India is equivalent to around 10 to 11 lakh. And please keep in mind that I only included the charges of one rotation here, so definitely it will be more than that. So to give you a rough idea, it lies between around $1,500 to up to $30,000 based on what kind of accommodation you are taking, in which city you are doing the rotations. So this will vary, but the rough estimate would be around $1,500 to $30,000. So with that, we are done about all the finances that are required at each and every step of this journey. And now I know that it feels like an overwhelming large amount of money that you need, and you might be questioning yourself whether you have enough money to do it, whether you will get enough financial support to do it. But also keep in mind that you will not require all this money at the same time. So you will be going step by step through each process. So at every step, you will require a chunk of this money and not all of it together. So if you manage out and plan out everything really well, you will be able to get through all of this. If you are interested in learning more about this, I have a post on this on Instagram. So make sure you check that out to get a rough idea how you can get the support system together to manage your finances really well if you are appearing for the USMLE. Now, since we have talked about the finances and I've also explained the steps about getting yourself ECFMG certified, it is mandatory for us to have a brief discussion about the match process. What happens in the match process basically? After you're done with your step 1, step 2 CK and you have got yourself ECFMG certified, finally it is your time to apply to the programs. For applying to the programs, first you need the ERAS token, which was $150 as we just discussed. After getting the ERAS token, the next step you have to do is to complete your whole CV on ERAS. What will your CV include? The CV will hold all your experiences, whatever you have done throughout, you have to put it out in your CV. If you are interested to know more about how to develop your CV and what all things are involved in your CV, go and watch out the video which I will link in the description below on my Instagram, where I have in detail explained about all the subsections of the ERAS CV. After you are done with the ERAS CV, you submit your application. When you submit your application, at the same time you apply to all the programs where you want to submit that application, and that will have additional charges to it. So as I explained you, applying to roughly around 150 programs will charge you more than $3,000. Once you have submitted your application, now it is the waiting time for you. So you just have to wait and look at the watch on the wall until you get the interview invites. This can be a very, tedious process till now, but now sitting back, taking a back seat is much more anxiety striking because you will see other people getting interviews, you might get interviews late. So it is a roller coaster ride of emotions, but you have to stay strong here. After you get the interviews, you will go for all the interviews, roughly maybe 5, 10, 15, if you're lucky, 30. And once you are done with all the interviews, you have to rank the programs where you have interviewed. And similarly, the programs where you have interviewed will rank you. And after that, finally comes the day of the match, where your ranking will be matched with the ranking of the programs, and finally both will align to one best match. Kind of like Tinder, you know what I mean? So when you will find a perfect match, you will then be pursuing your residency into that program. So after this whole tiresome journey, finally you will reach your destination. So with that, we are done with everything in detail, step by step about the USMLE, from the start, the preparation, getting yourself registered, up till the end that you get a match. And I hope all of you who are in this journey get help from this video and you eventually match at your desired position. If you have any doubts, any questions, please make sure you leave them down below in the comment section and we will make sure that we are answering all of them. For more information, please go on to my Instagram page and make sure you DM me with your doubts and check out all the posts related to USMLE. We will see you soon. Bye-bye.